Coming up on Network Africa. 56 people dead, several injured in Guinea soccer stadium Stampede. The Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission's 11th session opens with ministerial meeting in Cape Town. Plus, U.S. President Joe Biden makes a brief stop in Cabo Verde en route to Angola. Hello and welcome to another week on the program. I'm Layo Larinde, bringing you stories from across the continent. Let's begin this week with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
On Sunday, Senegal's president called the 1944 Traoré killings a premeditated colonial act at a ceremony marking 80 years since the French troops gunned down African soldiers who fought for France in World War II and demanded fair treatment and payment.
Ne commence pour les combats. La distance n'est pas très longue et nous assistons à l'arrivée du président de la République.
President Bassirou Diomaye Faye spoke at a military camp in Teroye near Dakar alongside France's foreign minister and leaders from Mauritania, Comoros, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau and Gabon. He stressed the need to recount the full history of the event.
L'irréparable se produisit le 1er décembre 1944, ici à Thiaroye.
The irreparable occurred on December 1, 1944, here in Thiaroye, when General Dagnan ordered the shooting of unarmed innocents, whose only wrongdoing was to demand the payment of their indemnities, bonuses and other allowances. This was a premeditated act, and out of a duty of memory, truth and justice, we cannot forget the horror of the summary executions here, at the Thiaroye camp. It is imperative to recount history, the entire history, without lapses in memory.
Qui ont contribué à écrire dans le sang et la sueur la glorieuse histoire de la libération.
President Faye announced an international committee to investigate the event, locate graves and identify victims. Senegal plans a memorial and research center to honor the soldiers. The West African country has long demanded France to take responsibility, officially apologize, and properly investigate the massacre. Search and rescue efforts continue over the weekend in Uganda as death toll from a landslide in the eastern region is expected to keep rising, with over 100 people reported missing. The landslide, which occurred on Wednesday, November the 30th in Bulambuli district, buried dozens of homes across several villages located approximately 300 kilometers, which is about 190 miles east of the capital, Kampala. Derek Mayuya lost his entire family, 3 siblings and both parents.
I'm really desperate, have no hope, because I'm sure my family is all gone.
Villages once inhabited by homes and schools are now submerged in deep mud. Survivors mourn their missing loved ones as rescue workers search for the mud survivors. In response to the disaster, the Ugandan government has urged citizens living in landslide-prone regions to relocate. On Sunday, Chad's President Mohamed Debe said the decision to terminate the country's military pact with France was taken because it has become outdated. In his first public remarks delivered since the surprise announcement, President Deby said the pact no longer aligned with Chad's current security or geopolitical needs.
Building on 66 years of progress since the proclamation of the Republic, Chad is fully entitled and even obligated to freely define its international relations, choose the forms of cooperation it desires, and conduct its defense policy according to its priorities. We have therefore decided to terminate this military cooperation to refocus our partnership with France on areas that will have a more positive impact on the daily lives of our respective populations.
N'Djamena civic activists welcomed their government's decision to end the defense cooperation agreement with Paris, saying the Chadian authorities have heard the cries of the people.
Every Chadian wants the sovereignty of Chad. Every Chadian wants France to leave because we've understood that the French are there for their own interests, not the interests of Chad. We are very proud of our head of state, who listened to his people today. It's rare to see heads of state in Africa who accept the realities on the ground, who hear the cries of the people, and who respond to them.
Chad has struggled with the jihadist insurgency for over a decade, and backing by French and U.S. troops has failed to bring stability. France is now expected to withdraw its 1,000 troops and military aircraft from the Central African country.
So our main stories for today: in Guinea, at least 56 people have been killed and several others injured in a stampede at a soccer stadium in southern Guinea following clashes between fans. Guinean government says they are conducting an investigation to establish those responsible for the stampede on Sunday. The stampede erupted in the packed stadium as security forces attempted to control clashes among fans. Prime Minister Amadou Ba addressed the tragedy on his platform X, stating that victims were recorded during the stampede, although did not specify the death toll. Prime Minister Ba also assured that regional authorities are working to restore calm in the area. The 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission has commenced with a ministerial meeting at the Vineyard Hotel in Cape Town, South Africa. The meeting, co-chaired by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, and South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Dr. Roland Lamola, comes before Tuesday's session, where President Bola Tinubu and President Cyril Ramaphosa will jointly lead discussions. The ministerial session provides a platform to review progress in bilateral cooperation across various sectors and also to finalize agreements to be presented during the presidential BNC. Nigeria's delegation to the ministerial meeting includes Ministers of Women Affairs, Industry, Trade and Investments, Agriculture and Food Security, Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, alongside the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service. They were joined by their South African counterparts and senior government officials from both countries. While many Nigerians in South Africa struggle with obtaining or renewing permits, the visa application process can be lengthy, expensive and complex, often leaving migrants in a precarious situation if their permits expire or are delayed. South Africa's immigration policies can change frequently, leaving Nigerians uncertain about the legal status of their stay. Well, as South African President Cyril Ramaphosa co-chairs the 11th session of the Binational Commission between South Africa and Nigeria in Cape Town, Nigerians living in South Africa hope the discussions will address what they describe as the inconsistent enforcement of immigration laws, which creates confusion and vulnerability. Well, our South Africa correspondent Innocent Samosa has more.
South Africa and Nigeria are this year marking 30 years of diplomatic relations established in February 1994. Now, we do know that Nigerian President, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, is in South Africa for the Presidential Binational Commission. It is believed that Tinubu and Ramaphosa would hold substantive discussions on bilateral, regional and international matters of mutual interest. Now, Nigerians living in South Africa had this to say about their president's visit. What would you like them to talk about and to focus on?
Okay, I would like them to talk about the way we did not have permits in the country, because you know it really affects. Whenever you want to go out, you will be afraid to go out because the cops, you know, whether they will come after you and all that. Like since I came here, I've applied for my asylum. They gave me, and after a while, they stopped. I've sent different countless of messages to Pretoria Home Affairs, but no response.
The only thing we need to say to our leaders is to come together as one and put heads together how Africa will move forward. So it's all about that. Somebody like me now, I'm a truck engineer in Nigeria, a truck engineer. But when I came to South Africa, there's nothing I could do than to do this because I didn't have papers. So we are begging some of the African leaders. We are begging President Ramaphosa, most of African leaders to come together.
Yesterday, I know how much I'll take bail myself because of the paper, because they want to deport me from South Africa to Nigeria. And I'm here many years now. I'm supposed to have a citizen paper, nothing. So we are struggling for that paper. If they can help us with the paper, we will be happy.
So the working permit is the challenge, so you will need that to be fixed.
It's a challenge for us. That working permit is very challenging. We need them to help us, please. If they can help us with that, it will be okay.
Now, while that continues, there are currently 34 agreements and memorandum of understanding between the two countries, which covers a wide range of fields, including economic, technical, scientific, social, and also tourism, among others. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
Well, Innocent joins us now again for more on the visit of Nigerian president to South Africa and the BNC that has started its 11th session. Hello, Innocent. Thank you for your time. President Tinubu arrives in South Africa today. Now, how significant is his visit this time that's coming months after he attended President Ramaphosa's inauguration?
100%. A very good evening to you, colleague, and our viewers around the world. It's good to be with you. Indeed, I guess this is strengthening bilateral relations. I would imagine that the visit underscores the commitment to enhancing diplomatic and, economic ties between these two giants. You would know that the two countries are the largest economies in the continent. By co-chairing the 11th session, really, I would imagine that President Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa, and Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, it really highlights the importance of collaboration on key issues such as trade, security, and also investment. But also there is a side of it, another side of it, it's the economic cooperation. I mean, both countries have vast trade potential. There's talks now of Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I mean, to realize that these two countries could play a very, pivotal role in making sure that we realize it in a speed of a lightning. But also, the visit is an opportunity to discuss, expanding economic cooperation, particularly in sectors like energy, infrastructure, technology. I mean, Nigeria and South Africa play a crucial role in Africa's economic integration, and strengthening ties really could boost regional and trade and development within the continent. But also another issue, long-standing issue, Layo, it has been the immigration and migration issues with a significant Nigerian diaspora in South Africa. President Tinubu's visit, I would imagine that it will also be seen as an opportunity to address crucial issues related to immigration, including the challenges Nigerian faces with permits, visas, protection from xenophobic attacks. The discussion we're hoping, Layo, that the discussion will lead to concrete solutions on immigration policies, offering hope to Nigerian community in South Africa. Layo.
Yeah, and speaking about the Nigerian community, in your reports just before we came on to you, you spoke to Nigerians in South Africa about the upcoming visit. Now, behind the scenes, is there an expectation of President Tinubu meeting with the Nigerian community while he is in South Africa?
Not that we've heard of from the GCIS or Government Communication Services here in South Africa. We have not heard whether and how long is the president staying in South Africa for. So as soon as we have that information, would really be able to know where and what type of gathering setup will that be? But I would imagine that again, Layo, the improving immigration policies, if that meeting happens, this will be on top of the agenda. You know, simplifying, speeding up of the processes of obtaining and renewing visas, work permits. Nigerian would really, it would really reduce the uncertainty, you know, preventing, you know, people from living in precarious situation, because as you heard in that report, that dear sister was actually arrested and she had to pay money to come out, and she's been in the country for quite some time. And you rightly alluded to in your intro that South Africa's immigration laws changes, and when it changes, sometimes it puts you know, migrants in a very precarious position. So I would imagine that, again, Layo, if that meeting happens, it would really, the immigration issue, policies and permits will be on top of the agenda. Layo.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Innocent Samosa, our correspondent in Johannesburg. We'll be catching up with you tomorrow just after the meeting. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, colleague.
Welcome back to the program. U.S. President Joe Biden made a refueling stop in Cape Verde en route to Angola today for a 3-day trip that will deliver on a promise to visit Africa during his presidency, and also focus on a major U.S.-backed railway project that aims to divert critical minerals away from China. Well, President Biden landed briefly in West Africa's Cape Verde on Monday morning, meeting Prime Minister Ulysses Correa Silva before flying on to Angola. Now, the project is partly funded with a U.S. loan and links the resource-rich Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia to the Angolan port of Lobito on the Atlantic Ocean, and is offering a fast and efficient route for exports to the West. At stake are vast supplies of minerals like copper and cobalt, which are found in Congo and are a key component of batteries and other electronics. China is the top player in Congo, which has become an increasing concern for Washington. China signed an agreement with Tanzania and Zambia back in September to revive a rival railway line to Africa's eastern coast. In Côte d'Ivoire, the list of presidential hopefuls in the country is getting longer. The latest entrant is former First Lady and ex-wife to former President Laurent Gbagbo. Simone Yvette won the nomination of her party, the Movement of Capable Generations, MGC, at a congress in her native town of Moussou in the southeastern region. In an acceptance speech, Yvette listed national reconciliation through an amnesty, food sovereignty, and industrialization as her priorities. Laurent Gbagbo and Simone became divorced in June of 2023. After 34 years of marriage and decades of joint activism. A teacher by profession, she began activism as a trade unionist in the 1970s. Or former Prime Minister Pascal Affi N'Guessan, who ruled in the early 2000s, has also announced his candidature for the 2025 election in Côte d'Ivoire. And in Namibia, main opposition party says it will not recognize the results from last week's election, where there have been logistical problems and voting had to be extended in several places. In a statement, Panduleni Itula, the presidential candidate for the opposition Independent Patriots for Change, alleged there had been glaring and undeniable electoral malpractices. He had been aiming to defeat the candidates for the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO, which has been in power since independence in 1990. SWAPO's flag bearer, Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, is seeking to become the country's first female president. Voting began on Wednesday last week, but in parts of the country continued up until Saturday, following a lack of ballot papers in some places, as well as malfunctioning technical equipment. In Sudan, the UN says the Adre border crossing is a lifeline for desperately needed aid to reach the people in the country. UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher just completed a 9-day visit to Sudan and Chad, where he visited Adre on the Chadian side of the border with Sudan. At the border, Mr. Fletcher attended a focus group with representatives of the host communities in Chad. The Under-Secretary General also traveled to Sudan's Darfur region. In El Guinea, the capital of West Darfur, he met with local officials and refugee representatives, stressing the desire for peace and the refugees wanting to return to their land and their lives. And finally, on the program, hundreds of rowers took part in the 2024 pirogue race in Bangui on Sunday, a highlight of celebrations on the Central African Republic's National Day. Large wooden canoes, also known as pirogues, hurtled through the water to the sound of roaring. Spectators lined up along the banks of the Ubangi River. Ethnic groups living along the Ubangi River, the Mbaka, Zongo, Mojombo, and Yakoma have been competing in the traditional race for decades. Odiedon Yamunkop, captain of the winning team, said they had been preparing for 5 months for the much-anticipated race. The competition has made a comeback in recent years as intercommunal fighting recedes in Bangui. Torn apart by civil war, locals missed out on the much-loved tradition for several years after former President Francois Bozize was overthrown in 2013. And that's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.